Welcome to Daps Magic, Disney and Positive Stuff. I'm Mr. Daps, and I'm excited to join you today as we continue our conversation that started last time about the conversation that I had with the Disneyland Resort president, Thomas Mazloum, and his leaders. This was an off-the-record conversation, and we have lots of things that we learned from it. And today, I want to focus on their focus on young families. This is something that goes back to the origins of Disneyland. When you think of Walt Disney talking and sharing the story about how Disneyland came about when he'd go to Griffith Park with his young daughters and think that there should be some sort of an amusement enterprise that could have something where both parents and the kids could enjoy together. And 70 some odd years later, that's exactly what Disneyland has become. On Daps Magic, Disney and Positive Stuff, we try to focus on different aspects of the Walt Disney Company and beyond, anything positive that really interests me. And I hope that you enjoy having these conversations and these explorations in different parts in a little bit more in-depth ways than we do in other realms of Daps Magic. You know, Geeks Corner is a little bit shorter, and articles sometimes can get a little bit long and heavy to read. So hopefully this is a format that resonates with you and you like having these discussions with me and with other people that I will be bringing on in the coming months and years. That being said, if you would like more of these conversations, head on over to Daps Magic HQ. You can do that by going to dapsmagic.com/dapshq. I know we really worked hard with a creative URL for that one, but you can head on over there. We have more conversations there, and we'd love to connect with you there. You can also do it on Facebook, social media, YouTube, wherever it is. We'd love to connect with you and have more discussions about Disney and positive stuff as we explore this wonderful community that we're in. Also, if you haven't done it yet, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of the future podcasts that we have coming up. And I'd love if you would give a rating if you enjoyed this show as well, and share it with your friends. The more the merrier, right? We love to share these things. We love to have deeper conversations. And that really comes with more perspectives because no one person really holds all of the cards on truth in their hand. And this might be my perception on something or my opinion on something, and I'd love to hear yours as well. With that being said, let's look at another element, I guess you could say, of the conversation that I had with Thomas Mazloum and a few other members in the media and his leadership team. This really was about the Disneyland Resort's focus on young families. He made it very clear that moving forward, the Disneyland Resort really wants to make sure that it's connecting and that it's accessible for young families. And there's going to be things that you can see coming throughout the year, particularly 2026, but also well beyond, that really do show their commitment to young families, which, as I mentioned, goes all the way back to Walt Disney. And this really is a balancing act that the Disneyland Resort has to walk. Because, yes, you want to focus on young families, but you also want to be bringing in new people all the time. And so you have to balance the young family fare along with the more thrilling things, you know, something like what's coming to Avengers Campus or, throughout the parks. You know, there's Incredicoaster, there's Space Mountain, there's different things that, you know, monsters or not monsters. I was thinking Monsters After Dark, but Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. But they have these different attractions that maybe are a little bit too thrilling for young kids. And Disneyland Resort is really also wanting to make sure that it's cognizant of what the young families need as well and offer that as they move forward. So as we're looking forward, very soon, we will have Bluey's best day ever at the Fantasyland Theater at Disneyland. Now, this is going to be something that will really resonate with young kids. Bluey is the biggest show on Disney Plus. It's got millions and millions and millions of minutes that are watched by young and old kids alike. And this is going to be a day full of interactive theater, I'm going to call it, at the Fantasyland Theater. It's not a traditional stage show. It's not going to be a sit down, cross your arms, relax, watch the thing happen. This is going to be a experience that runs throughout each day that, yes, it has Bluey. Yes, there are people on the stage, but there's also so much more happening around the Fantasyland Theater as well. In fact, I will be curious when it opens on the 22nd of March, how much of a theater it still feels like. We've had a few things, whether it's the Pixar Play Party, I think it was called. We've had some holiday experiences in the Fantasyland Theater, and they've started to transform it from a theater to more of a space where there's theatrical elements, but it's really more about being immersive for the guests when they come in. In this case, it'll be for young families and guests and those who happen to be fans of Bluey, which I think is just about everybody now. So when you visit Bluey's Best Day Ever, there will be live music. There will be live singers and performers. You'll obviously have Bluey. And you will also have interactive games. You'll get to play Keepy Uppy. You'll get to do other things that you'll recognize from Bluey on the screen in person. And there's going to be different stations or areas that you can go to for different experiences, and not just necessarily a photo op. It won't be the traditional lineup, take your picture and move on. Instead, it'll be a day full of interactivity and fun, and hopefully something that kind of resonates with young families in a way that maybe traditional theater doesn't. And it was interesting having a discussion at this meeting a week ago, because there was a period of time where there was a real focus on what role does the entertainment offering of the Disneyland Resort, where does it really fit and what does it play? What is that role? And traditionally, we've had things like Aladdin the Musical or Frozen, and even Blast as we go back. Step in Time. I'll just keep throwing things out that have been on stage. I won't go into Fantasyland Theater because we'll go forever. But we've had more traditional stage shows, and I think they've been very well received. I've personally loved them, and I know many other people have as well. However, the trend line is that younger families and kids, one, no surprise, the ability to sit there for 30, 45 minutes for a 4-year-old is probably limited. And the focus, the attention span for that, probably not super great. It's also something that's very passive, like other than clapping or laughing or something, but you're not a part of the experience. You're watching it almost like a live screen in front of you. And so you're not being a part of the story. You're watching the story play out in front of you. And one of the things that they've been very intentional about is they really want to make connections, whether this is cast member to cast member to guest connections, or maybe it's a performer to guest connection. But really, it's all about that human connection. And so when you make an entertainment offering more immersive, there's more opportunities for a human connection. My thought right now as I'm saying this is, think of somebody up on stage dancing, doing fantastic choreography, and you and your family are watching it from the theater. You're sitting in chairs, you're watching it, it's great. You clap at the end of it, fantastic. Now, take that same performer, move them down on the floor in front of, let's say, the Fantasyland Theater stage, and instead of dancing and doing this fantastic choreography by themselves, they're now dancing with, little Timmy that's 4 years old in your family. And all of you are dancing together in maybe a circle, or maybe who knows. And at the end of it, there's high fives. There's a, hey, I just became friends with you kind of a moment thing happening. And it's also a repeatable thing because you have different guests and potentially different performers each time. You have a slightly different experience every time you go to Bluey's Best Day Ever. And I really think that's probably something that Disney's counting on, is making those human moments and those human connections moving forward, so that, one, there's repeatability. Two, it's Bluey, so it's going to bring new people in. And that starts creating a healthier business model for the Disneyland Resort as it looks forward, or looks toward, keeping its current customers happy or guests happy, and then also looking forward to getting new customers or guests, so that there's always a healthy momentum of movement. You don't ever want business to get stagnant, because the moment you do, then it's going to end up dying. It'll stink, it'll die, it'll go away. And that's the last thing any of us ever want to have happen. And so Disney's really being smart about this, I think, because they've recognized that there are three very important things for the health of the Disneyland Resort business. And that two of them I just mentioned with current guests, future guests. The third, and the most important in some ways, is the glue that holds all of this together, which are the cast members. And when you think of it in the arena of the Fantasyland Theater and Bluey's Best Day Ever, the cast members really are going to make or break this. If you go in and you're having a grand old time playing games and dancing around with whoever these performers and cast members are, you're going to want to come back. If you go in and it's kind of just humdrum and the cast members just stand there, and yes, there's great music on the stage and maybe funny moments and you got to see Bluey, but there's no connection made, then you might as well just watch Bluey on TV, or you might as well watch it on YouTube. And as somebody that posts a lot of content on YouTube from the parks, I will always tell you it's so much better in person. You know, what you get through the screen of our cameras is just a little bit of the Disney magic that you get to feel when you have those moments that are happening around you and you're a part of as something like this happens. And so as we're looking to a year or more, presumably, of Disneyland Resort's focus on young families, they really have to keep that in mind, is what's going to attract those families, what's going to connect with those families, and what's really going to give them, as they're saying in the title for this, their best day ever. And so you're going to have this immersive entertainment. We've seen already some of this happening, you know, kind of with Viva Navidad or the Coco. I'm forgetting the name of it, but like there's been more of these smaller, I would say, but more reach out and touch it almost entertainment offerings and moments that have been put throughout the parks. And I think they're different and they're totally working as you look at how people line up super early for Viva Navidad. And presumably this thing is going to be packed with Bluey as well. They're also doing, with Bluey's Best Day Ever, they're going to have food that are related to the show and this experience as well. And as we're moving forward, they're really going to strive to make the Disneyland Resort as accessible and easy for young families to experience as possible. And one of the things I really appreciated moving on from Bluey that the Disneyland Resort is doing is it's recognizing that Disney California Adventure really could be offering more for young families. And that was really a big driver behind the decision to keep Monsters, Inc., Mike and Sully to the Rescue open an extra year. And this may not seem like a huge deal for young families. You know, I know certain fans are super excited about this. They love the attraction. And this is a big deal to them from that regard. But I think the more important from this perspective, the more important piece of this is that it creates one more experience that the entire family can do together. You can have, you know, the parents and the young children all enjoying this together. There's no height restriction. There's nothing going to be, you know, unless one of the monsters is a little bit scary. But this is something that provides an extra experience for families to do together at Disney California Adventure and creates more of a draw in the coming year for those families to do that. So we know it's going to stay open for another year, then it'll probably close. Hopefully somewhere around then, Coco, that new attraction, opens at Disney California Adventure, which then would kind of replace that that family-friendly attraction so that families and kids of all ages can enjoy this together and create something that also has high enough capacity that enough families can do this as well, which is also a very important thing. And as they do this kind of juggling game of like, where can we create more experiences for families, they full on recognize that going back to the entertainment piece, they can use entertainment and other experiences that are kind of like pop-up experiences to fill in some of those gaps and create moments that young families can enjoy and really maybe make up for there being more thrill rides at Disney California Adventure. And that's going to be a very interesting thing to see how it plays out. And just pay attention, I would say, in the coming years to what attractions are open and what attractions are closed from a scheduling standpoint. Right now they have Jumping Jellyfish closed, and that's going to be open before they close something else, I presume, that's for family friendly ages and or young family ages. And that will be a very interesting thing to keep in mind. And eventually Monsters Inc. will close and Avatar will happen, and that was acknowledged as well. And it'll be interesting to see how intense or not intense the Avatar attraction is following up on that too. Like, will Monsters be replaced by something that young kids can't go on, or will this be something that young kids can experience with their families as well? Even if it's, I would assume it's a little bit more intense, but there is an attraction in Florida that's very family friendly for Avatar. I assume it won't be something like that. I think it'll be something more. But as we move forward through the year, start looking at the things the Disneyland Resort is doing through the lens of, does this make it easier for families to come to the Disneyland Resort? And a big, big, big component of this is the monetary component. And this was something that was addressed as well. And there's multiple ways the Disneyland Resort is trying to make the financials easier for young families to go to the happiest place on earth. And I think for a lot of us, some of our favorite Disney memories or Disneyland memories come from when we were kids. There are fewer things that are more magical than getting to go to Disneyland as a little kid. And maybe it's going on Peter Pan for the first time and feeling like you're flying over London, or going to Wonderland and seeing massive flowers singing to you. Or if you're like me, it's seeing that Main Street Electrical Parade for the first time, and seeing Elliot the Dragon disappear right in front of you and then come back, and all of the lights and the magic and the music that comes with it. And now young kids get to see Paint the Night for a similar but more modern experience. And if you haven't done it recently, go to the Disneyland Resort with a little kid and just observe and enjoy the park experience through their eyes. Don't go in with any other agenda than, hey, I'm going to enjoy hanging out with this family. Maybe it's my family, maybe it's a friend, but look at the Disney magic through the eyes of a little kid. And there's few things better than that. Whether it's music, whether it's an attraction, whether it's seeing their favorite character, whether it's seeing their favorite show, fireworks, you name it, seeing them light up and just be fully engrossed in the moment, like those are impossible to beat. They're so magical. And one of the big hindrances to that is the financial one. So as you look through the year, if you were to go to disneyland.com/offers right now, there's a 3-day California ticket to make it easier for families in California to be able to go to Disneyland. And that came really out of a recognition that already SoCal families had gotten a pretty good use out of that. But there's so many more people in California that could be getting a better discount and to make it a little bit easier to get to the happiest place on earth. Is it a lot? Depends on your definition, but it's cheaper than basically any other way to get to the happiest place on earth. This summer, there's a kids' summer ticket offer that's coming that's really, really impressive. When you think about it, it's basically as low as $50 a day for these kids. And you can get a park hopper with this as well. I don't actually know if you need a park hopper with young kids. Just from my own perspective, I think just from an energy standpoint and a focus standpoint, there is plenty to do without a park hopper, and you can really enjoy a day at either park. Unless you're like racing through it, you really want to have that ability to hop back and forth, then go for it. But if I were a tourist or a once in a great moon coming to the Disneyland Resort with little kids, I probably would do one park at a time. That might change or something, but this kids summer ticket offer is basically available all summer from like May 22nd through September 7th, which means that you can enjoy the end of the Disneyland Resort 70th celebration. You can get the beginning of the Halloween time celebration that comes in August. And that's just a really, I think, decent way to make tickets more affordable for families. Are they still expensive? Absolutely. I look at the prices for everything today and think about the life that I grew up and lived. I'm like, I don't know how we would do this today as a family when I was a little kid. But I also know that things that are important to you, you save up for and you make it happen, and then that makes that investment in that effort that much more rewarding and magical once you've gotten to experience. And so there's that one as well. There's hotel savings that if you want to stay at one of the hotels at Disneyland Resort, you can get up to like 25% off in the coming months and year. And then, as I mentioned before, the California deal. The other thing that is coming to Disneyland Resort that I think is just a phenomenal offering for families with young kids is there's going to be a new meal deal for kids, $5.99. You'll get a hot dog, you get like a milk or a water, and you'll get like a cutie. And honestly, that may not sound like a lot. It may sound very simple, but when I think of coming on a budget to the Disneyland Resort, that also sounds like a lifeline. That is something that's way cheaper than other meals throughout the park. It's going to feed you, it's going to be fine. Is it the most exciting thing? Is it a Mickey Mouse waffle or something? No, but it does get you through the day. It does help save a penny here and a penny there. And that can make a huge difference as people make these trips that basically make memories that are going to last a lifetime. And at the end of the day, when I think back of being a kid at Disneyland, I don't really remember any meal we ate. I do remember getting a frozen banana with my grandpa once and discovering how frozen they really were, and that was kind of a shock. And it was one of those things where I still haven't had one to today because I wouldn't say like it was a fun memory. Was it my favorite experience? No. There's things like that, but that was really more about the family I was with in the moment that was had versus something I ate. And through the years, like even there's been some amazing meals I've had at Disneyland, well, Disney parks around the globe. And even with some of the most incredible food that was there, it's generally about the people that we were with. It's generally about the service of whatever restaurant we were at. And yes, there is the food component, but I go back to what I started with is generally the strongest moments in my memories come from connections either with family or friends or with a cast member or performer or something. Like it really is those human connection moments that really last a lifetime. So I think this is a nice handout from the Disneyland Resort in terms of a discount. And I think it will make it more accessible for families that are on a dime. And I really appreciate that they're focusing on that and not just catering to the higher end offerings that you can just throw money at things, because that's not everybody. And there's a healthy balance that I think needs to be found, that Disneyland is, to their credit, they're working at it, and they've acknowledged that there's been some laws of unintended consequences that have happened through the years, and there's been some things that they would like to have. Well, they'd like them to be better for families, and so that people can have a better experience going to Disneyland Resort. And that's hat tip to that, because that's a hard thing to admit publicly to members of the media that are sitting there looking you in the face, that recognize the ups and the downs of the Disneyland Resort and Disney as a company. And that's something that gives me a lot of optimism for the future of the Disneyland Resort and for people that want to visit the happiest place on earth. So as you're looking forward, maybe you're coming into, what can I do now? What can I look forward to as I'm visiting the happiest place on earth with my young family? There's always so many fun things that can bring those magical moments to life. I mentioned a few of them, whether it's Peter Pan, Alice in Wonderland's Adventure, Snow White's Enchanted Adventure, or Enchanted Wish. May be messing up the name of that right now. This is why I don't use a script. I have a few notes up here, but I basically just go with what's in my head and in my heart. But small world, you can't go wrong with that, especially if it's a really young kid. Seeing them light up to the animated dolls and the music and the lights, like very few things are better. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway's adorable. Maybe they're into a little bit more of the spookier things. So Haunted Mansion, Jungle Cruise is always fun because you have all the animals. And Buzz Lightyear's Astro Blasters is great for maybe not super tiny young ones, but it's not going to do anything. Like they're going to have fun seeing stuff, even if they don't know how to use the laser blaster. And then you've got Monsters Inc. You've got Jumpin' Jellyfish. You've got Little Mermaid, and there's other things to have memories made together throughout the Disneyland Resort. There's cavalcades, there's character moments, there's in the morning, there's this very sweet moment with the Straw Hatters where often characters come out, and Mickey and Minnie and Pluto and Donald Duck have little moments, not just with the band, but also with the guests. And one of them is Donald Duck basically having a drum battle with a kid that's picked from those who are watching. And it's absolutely adorable. I think it happens mid-morning on Main Street. Check the app for all of this stuff because there's so many magical things that happen that are so easy to overlook and miss just because there is so much in the Disneyland Resort and on the app. And you can find the entertainment offerings by clicking on the entertainment icon in the top of the Disneyland app when you're on the map. And it really helps add clarity, I think, when you're going through all of that stuff. And you can either look at it in map form, or I like to do it in a list format so you can see where things are coming and when. Another big thing that's great if you have little ones is there's the Disney Junior Mickey Mouse Clubhouse live over in the Disney Theater in Hollywood Boulevard, I guess, at Disney California Adventure. Awesome. It's a blast. It's not for me, but when I saw it, I was like, oh, this is actually a lot of fun. And I want to bring every kid I know here because they can dance and sing along with Mickey and friends. And it's just a fun, immersive, positive environment. The cast members get into it, not just the ones that are on the stage, but the ones that are probably there for guest control or whatever, hospitality. They're dancing along, they're having fun, they're interacting with the kids, and it's really, really sweet. The other thing that's fun, especially if you're just trying to get rid of some energy for the kids, is the Redwood Creek Challenge Trail. And that's a blast. Sometimes there's even characters over there. And I think little Mr. Daps would have loved if that had been around, in the afternoon, just to get off some steam and climb around and be in nature. It's a beautiful area. It's fun. It's a blast. And it's just a couple of the options that you can do as full families. Then there's all of the nighttime entertainment as well that you can enjoy together, whether it's Paint the Night Parade or World of Color Happiness or Phantasmic or Wondrous Journeys Fireworks. All of those things really do create opportunities to create magical family moments together that become those core memories that you carry with you. And I think the real hope and goal, I'm assuming it was with my parents, and hopefully it is for parents now, is to create these moments and these memories that kids carry on with them through life. And from Disney's perspective, these kids then become lifelong guests that come back through the years and bring their families to the happiest place on earth. And then you've created that really happy community that also helps keep the business moving forward. And it's one of those things that I think as guests and fans we forget all of the time is Disney is a business, and we need that business to be healthy so that it can continue to offer the magic that we've loved for the last almost 71 years now for the parks side of things. And as we look forward to this, it's really a nice offering from a perspective of young families that they're focusing on this because it creates accessibility. It creates the chance for young families that may not be able to otherwise financially go to the happiest place on earth, create those magical moments, meet Bluey, dance with Bluey, have all of those fun things happening. And then also just it creates, hopefully for Disney and for those of us that just love this place so much, it creates lifelong connections with the park, with the characters, with the cast members, the performers, and other guests. Like, I think just about anybody that's a Magic Key holder will tell you they've made some of the best friends they have in their life. The friends that are family, while at the happiest place on earth. And these are relationships you carry with you through your life, and you go through the ups and the downs, and you're there for each other, and you celebrate, and you care for each other as you're going through these things. And that's a really special thing that really comes thanks to having that focal point of Disney. And I think at its core, Disney has always been about families. Disney has always been about positivity. And so it tends to attract, generally, people who are focused on those things as well. There's always the outliers, but it gives a lot to look forward to when you think of Disney creating this focus and Disneyland Resort creating this focus with young families. And it probably also creates an opportunity this year in particular, as they're gearing up to really dive into Disneyland Forward, where there's going to be a lot more happening. Like, this is probably a very good time for families to be like, hey, we've been thinking about doing this for a few years. This might be the summer we should do it, or this is the year we should do it. As you do come to the happiest place on earth, if you are coming with young kids, use the app, use cast members. Like, there's so much good information out there to learn what the best things for you and your families are, what those discounts are. Go to disneyland.com/offers. Check the different attractions that you want to experience for heights. They have that on the Disneyland app, but you can also find it on the Disneyland website. And then really start looking at the happiest place on earth from the perspective of, is it the happiest place on earth for everybody? Like, is it happiest just for the people that like thrill rides? Is it happiest just for the people that like entertainment? Is it the happiest place on earth for people that want to go with their young families? And I think what you'll find out is that Disney really is trying to be the happiest place on earth for everybody. They're trying to balance the different demographics of the people that come, and they're doing their best to make that balance stay steady so that it doesn't tip too far one way or the other. And everybody really can go to the happiest place on earth, walk away happier because of it, which we love, and create those lifetime memories as they're moving forward. And that was just one of those things that sticks with you a week out, because I can't say that I've heard through 21, 22 years, the next month and a half, whatever, of doing Daps Magic. I can't say that I've heard a focal point being, how can we focus on making Disneyland easier for young families to get to, and more fun once they do get there, or more magical once they do get there. And it's something I appreciate them recognizing that they could grow with and focus on. And even though I don't have kids, I do appreciate the fact that they're making it easier for those who do. And I like the fact that the Disneyland Resort is constantly analyzing and adjusting and really focusing on creating a hospitable environment for the thousands, millions, however many guests that visit every year to the happiest place on earth. And I love that they're recognizing that they have work to do, that they haven't necessarily been where they wanted to be since the pandemic. And that's something really exciting to me as well, to watch develop and grow. We might be doing one more episode on this conversation that I had with Thomas Mazloum and his executives. I also have a guest that I'm working on that might be popping in too. So this might be something that we return to in the future. But this is where I want to hear from you. Do you like hearing about these things that we've heard about with the Disneyland Resort president and his team? If so, let me know what interests you the most, what you'd like to know more about. I'm more than happy to attempt to answer questions. And if I don't know the answer, I'll try to find it. But what do you think about the Disneyland Resort focusing on young families? What do you think about them focusing on hospitality? Let me know in the comments, or reach out to me on social media what you think about all of these different elements and these focal points and principles the Disneyland Resort is really striving to make the best of the best under this Thomas Mazloum leadership in the Mazloum era, I think is what I called it before. But I'd love to hear from you. So reach out to me, leave comments, hang out with us out on Daps Magic HQ. We love having conversations virtually there. And we even have a once a week behind the scenes Daps Magic HQ exclusive show where, anything can happen. You never know. It's a blast. But I hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day. I hope you've subscribed. I hope you've shared. And I hope you've rated this podcast so that we can know what you think of it and what we could do better, because we love to share our love of Disney and positive stuff with you. Make it a great week, everybody. Keep kind, stay positive, and we'll see you in the parks.